Hey, so this is probably part three of our no contact story. I've done part one and part two yesterday, but I think that this question that one of the viewers had is one that I'd like to address this morning. And it was just, can you explain? They didn't know what their grievances, were with us and why they wrote the 7-page letter. So some background on the timeline of it. It was around the holiday season. So it was November and December, and we were coming to the conclusion that with a specific family member, one in particular, we needed really strong boundaries with. And so much so that we told the family that we wouldn't be doing Thanksgiving or Christmas if that individual was there. And I'm not going to go into the what that individual had done because I think it would be kind of incriminating to those individuals. And so while I'm willing to be vulnerable and open up and share, I also don't need to do all the dirty laundry. So you'll notice that I am speaking a little bit in generalities. So I apologize for that. But the fundamentals are, my wife and I came to the conclusion that both she and I and our children, we didn't want to be spending our sacred and special holiday time with individuals that we really classified as toxic, like that we did not trust them on any level. There was a lot of lying, a lot of abuse that had gone on, and it got to a point where we felt like, our safety and our children's safety was in jeopardy, and we just didn't want to be a part of that. And so when we started having those conversations, my wife went to each of her siblings to kind of explain it, so that it wasn't just hey, we're just not showing up. It was a little bit of background. And as we were going through the background, more information kind of, came to light, and my wife would see their reaction. They weren't very supportive of the boundaries, and they were really pushing back, and she was confused by that. Like, why aren't you respecting our need to do this? And so then she started asking even more questions of like, why are we supporting this individual? This person is the most toxic in the bunch, and we're all wanting to jump and defend and protect that individual instead of the others that have been hurt by it. And so then we started just asking more questions, and that was when, my wife especially just started connecting the dots. And then you realize that a lot of this is very textbook, that that in kind of narcissistic family cultures, that secrets need to be kept secret. They use silence and kind of different manipulation tactics. The whole family needs to revolve around the most unhealthy individual. And so that happens. That's not just within this family system. It happens in a lot of family systems. And so then very quickly we became the scapegoat, and other siblings started dogpiling on kind of this counter action towards us. And because we were going to be disrupting the family piece, and we were going to be the ones putting a boundary in place. And you look, there's so many quotes that are out there online, on TikTok and other places, but it says, if you want to see people's true colors, just put a boundary in place. And that is absolutely the case. We tried to put a boundary in place for our family, and we saw the entire system rally around to shut us down and to bully us into, don't you ever create a boundary that relates to this family ever again, was basically what the letter said. It was just, that is not tolerable. And it's because it's super unhealthy, but it's just the family at all costs environment, and that family is everything. You hear those sayings in previous generations. It was like you just died on a hill on that. And so many families have kept atrocious, family secrets under the rug. and it just causes so much damage. And there's a lot of conflict in different generations right now. There's a lot of discussion on this platform about the difference between boomers and millennials, for example. And I'm not wanting, I don't love generalizing things, but generally speaking, when you look at those generations, you know, boomers are much more of the brush things under the rug, stick your head in the sand, you know, let's not tell the truth because it could be incriminating on our reputation. They're very image conscious. They want to put on the facade like they have it all put together when they don't. And millennials are kind of this first generation that are willing to live way more authentically and transparently. They're willing to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's more vulnerability and authenticity, and that freaks boomers out. They do not like that at all. And so that's why you're getting this tug of war. And that's essentially, I think, what's happened here. It was like, do not try to disrupt the image that we have of this perfect family system because you want to have a boundary. You don't matter. The family matters. And that's what was just so harmful for us. So anyways, I know I'm speaking in high level kind of generalities there because even this, I'm sure, is kind of embarrassing, or it should be, for them if they were to watch this video. But I don't really want to go completely below the belt on all the incriminating behavior at this point, at least, because I think I can still be an advocate for boundaries and cycle breaking and things without having to give all the gory details. But they're pretty gory. I will just say that.